students, how are you? I hope all of you are fine. Today I welcome you in the chemistry class of class 6 chapter 1 part 3. In this part today we will study about the chemistry lab, general instructions that we should follow in chemistry lab and what precautions shall we keep in our mind while doing the experiment in chemistry lab. Okay, so let us come to the first topic, instructions for working in the chemistry laboratory. What is chemistry laboratory? It is a place where experiments in chemistry are performed. It's a place where experiments in chemistry are performed. Okay, so what the general instructions every student should know, should have while working in the chemistry lab. First one, very important instruction is that to maintain discipline. Discipline is very important in chemistry lab. As you see, a chemistry lab is a place where number of chemicals will be there. Some chemicals are harmful, and if you do not take care about it, if you are very careless in that, it may cause accident. It may affect your skin, or it can affect your eyes and all these things, because you are much not aware of these chemical substances. So you have to be first of all very well disciplined in the chemistry lab. Second, general instructions, each students should have lab coat, apron, then gloves, mask, matchbox, soap, towels of their own before going to work in the laboratory. These all materials each and every student should have. What? Lab coat, gloves, mask, matchbox, soap and towel. Next, when you are going to do any experiment, you should have pre-knowledge of that. So before performing any experiment, you should study that experiment thoroughly. You should understand the experiment thoroughly. You should understand the procedure by how you have to do that experiment in proper way. So the third instruction is that read the experiment and understand the procedure in advance before going to do the experiment. The next instruction is that always keep the apparatus. Apparatus are the materials in which we do the experiment or by which we do the experiment in the lab. Like there are many glass apparatus like test tube, then beaker, conical flask, then other apparatus like test tube holders, brush, different materials are there that we need to do the experiment in the lab. So you should always handle this apparatus carefully and keep this apparatus safe, and as well as on the place where you are doing the experiment, that working table should always be kept clean. So the next instruction is that always keep the apparatus and working table clean. Next, other instructions that you should follow is do your experiment with patience. As I told you in the first, maintain discipline. So you should do your work in a patience way. Don't go in hurry. Don't throw the chemicals here and there. Do your experiment slowly, patiently, and observe. Take your observations carefully. Okay? So do your experiment with patience. If you have any problem, if you have getting any difficulty, you just ask your teacher. Go to your teacher and ask and get solved your difficulties. Okay? So these are some general instructions that you have to keep in mind before going to work in the chemistry lab or doing the experiment. Okay? Okay. So our next topic is precaution in a chemistry lab. While working in the chemistry lab, we have to follow some preservative methods, precautions. So what is that? Before going to do experiment, you should wear your lab coat, your apron, your safety goggles, gloves in your hand to avoid accident. Because while doing some experiment, there may be chance that chemical may fall off, or while heating the chemicals, it may boil and spurt out, it may fall on your body, or sometimes something may crack, or if you acid or the chemicals spurt out, it may fall into your ear and cause accident. So to avoid all these kinds of accident, we need to have this safety materials, lab coat, that is apron, safety goggles, gloves before doing the while doing the experiment. Then, when we are going to do the experiment, we need the chemicals. If you go in the lab, all the chemicals will be labeled in a container. So, read the labels on all the chemical reagents containers before use. It is, don't mix any other when you are going to do experiment, you need some other chemical, and if you mix some another type of chemical, then other accident may happen, some other results may come. So don't do like that. First, whatever you need, there will be labeled, all the containers containing these chemicals and reagent will be labeled. Read that names, then take out only the chemicals that you need for doing that particular experiment. Now, handle dangerous reagents such as concentrated acids. These acids are harmful. If they fall on the skin, they can cause acid burn. Blisters can come on your body. So handle all these dangerous reagents very carefully. There are some many reagents which are harmful. We'll study about it when you come to the upper classes, or when you study the further chapters which chemicals, which acids are harmful. So handle these dangerous reagents such as concentrated acid with care. Now, do not throw the chemicals here and there. Never test chemicals. Don't do this. Never try to do this until and unless you are asked. Whatever the chemicals available there, never test it. Or while doing the experiment, some gases will rise up. Don't ever try to inhale this gas until and unless your teacher asks you to do so, instruct you to do so. Never test any chemicals with your tongue, or never inhale the gases that is being evolved during the experiment. Okay? Now let us see some more points of the precautions. Okay, then the next precautions that you should keep in mind: do not heat test tube containing a solution with its mouth facing towards you or your neighbor. While doing the experiment, sometimes we need to heat the solution in a test tube. So on heating it will boil, and on boiling it may spot out, it may fall out. So if you heat that chemicals of solution in a test tube facing to your mouth, after boiling it may fall on your face and cause an accident. Or if you are facing the test tube mouth towards your neighbor, it may spot on the face of that person, on the body of that neighbor, and it cause accident. So never heat a solution, a chemicals in a test tube by putting the mouth of the test tube towards your face or towards your neighbor face. Avoid these things. Next precaution: if any solid or liquid chemicals or harmful chemicals fall on your body, on your clothes, immediately go and wash with running water to reduce its effect. Go and wash with the running water. We open the tap and wash with the running water so that its effect may be reduced. Then do not eat or drink in the lab. You should not eat anything or drink water or anything in the lab. Okay? The next precautions that you should keep in your mind, that remember the location of fire extinguisher. Very important. You might, all of you have seen fire extinguisher in your corridor, in your nearby your classes. Okay, what is the work of the fire extinguisher? To keep put off the fire. In the case if a fire takes place, fire extinguishers are used to put off the fire, extinguishes the fire. So while working in the chemistry lab, there may be some chance due to some accident, the fire may catch the fire. So to extinguish that fire, we need this fire extinguisher. You should know the location where if such situation arises, any condition happens, if the fire catches and it is uncontrolled, so you should use this fire extinguisher to put off the fire. And you also must know how to use this fire extinguisher. Until you know how to use the fire extinguisher, it is meaningless. So you must know its location, and you must ask your teachers how to use this fire extinguishers. So in this way, by keeping these all precautions in your mind, you should work in the chemistry lab to keep yourself safe. Okay? Now let us come to the next topic. Okay students, now see the next topic, some common laboratory apparatus that we need in our lab to do the work. Here I have shown you some pictures. I've drawn the pictures of some of the common lab apparatus that we need. These are all glass apparatus. Like first you need test tube, in which we do the heating of the solutions. This is a test tube. Then beaker. This is also need for measuring the solutions and doing some other works. Then this is a conical flask, a flask where we need some doing the experiments or heating purposes. Along with this, there is different types of flask also. This is a conical shape. In the same, we will have a round shape flask, that is called round bottom flask. Then in some flask, its bottom will be flat. They are called flat bottom flask. Then next is your cylinder, measuring cylinder. This is the equipment apparatus used to measure the chemicals in the proper amount to do the experiment. So it is used as a measuring, it is basically used for measuring the solutions. Then this is a funnel type by which we pour the chemicals through it, as the funnels that we use at your home for pouring the oil into the lamps and all. It is like that funnel. Then it's a bowl type dish called evaporating dish, in which we heat the chemicals. Okay, so along with this there are some more types of apparatus like wire gauge. It is just like a net on which we keep the apparatus before heating. Then we have tripod stand, 3 legs stand, on which we keep this apparatus or the dish for heating purposes. So these are some common laboratory apparatus that we have to study and you have to see in your lab. When the lab will open, I will show you one day. So here is a picture of some of the different chemical laboratory apparatus. You can see it. Okay. So this is the end of the lesson. Revise all these things, and in the next video I will give you some question and answers for your practice. Okay. Till then, take care of yourself. Be happy.